Hello, Linesider again here, aka David. Welcome to another vlog. Today I'm in Beattock. Very funny. I'm here to dig up some ghosts, not actual ghosts, not spooky ghosts, but look at some things that still remain of the past. I'm particularly looking at Beattock Bank, the famous incline on the West Coast main line. I'm going to travel from here at Beattock up to the summit and try and uncover a few things that still indicate times past. So come along if you like and we'll see what we can find. So in terms of location for today's vlog, I'm going to start here in Beattock, which is just to the southwest of the larger town of Moffat, and follow the railway approximately 10 miles up to the summit. I'm going to mainly focus on the railway, but will pick up on a few points around the adjacent roads as well. Incidentally, the map I'm using today is an Ordnance Survey custom-made map defined by a central point of my own choosing. Sometimes I find that stretches of railway can spread across several different maps and you can never fully appreciate the features around the line to best effect when it's like that. So I'd highly recommend it. OS custom made, you can even add your own text and image to the cover. So my first stop on this little jaunt is a bridge just to the north of Beattock Station. And incidentally, this bridge is controlled by traffic lights. I think they might be the loneliest traffic lights in the UK. I've not seen any traffic since I've been here, but this is probably content for a vlog of a completely different kind. So this is the view south from the bridge, and I'm looking towards where Beattock Station used to be, together with the engine sheds. The sheds closed in 1967 and the station closed in 1972. But this would have been a really busy place with banking engines being prepared and regularly being attached to the rear of northbound trains to bank up the infamous incline from here to the summit. It's worth mentioning that Beattock Bank is 10 miles long and roughly at a gradient of 1 in 75, so the same gradient as Shap but about 2.5 times as long, so a real bruiser of a climb and somewhere that required a lot of skill from the footplate crews both on the leading engine and the banking engines in order to get the heavy loads up the hill. So just looking to the north from the bridge now, and the siding on the right lies next to where the Moffat Branch used to diverge. I did used to think this was the branch itself, but studying old photos I'm fairly sure this has only ever been a siding, and the roughly mile-long branch itself followed the same curve just to the left of this. I think it's a little bit sad in some ways seeing a modern train like that just whiz by. All the character of times past has gone altogether. There's people probably not even looking out the windows these days, probably looking at their phones. And all that life, all that character, all those jobs that once existed here, obviously gone forever. This is progress for you, I suppose, but it does always seem particularly sad when you see a train flying by and no interaction with the place it's going through. Just stood on the western end of the bridge. You've still got the original low parapets as well, which is great. Lovely place to watch even today. But if we move a little bit further on, and this is very much the case for a lot of bridges on the West Coast main line, but here we can see where it meets the breeze blocks of the 1970s, these being built here to replace the original parapets when they electrified the route in 1973. For anyone who watched the Alton Gill vlog, I think you'll know which of the two I prefer. So I've stopped a few miles up the B road from Beattock. This actually used to be the one carriageway of the dual carriageway A74, and this sign is the next ghost because this is the ghost of the idea that the motorway, the A74M, once connected with the M6, would all become M6, but that never happened. But it was obviously a plan at some stage, because if you look carefully you can see that A74M is a sticker placed over this sign. I'm sorry, this is particularly geeky stuff, but if you look at the other sign over my other shoulder, you'll see that the sticker's actually fallen off, and it does say M6, so that was the original plan. This ghost is the idea that the motorway, once fully connected, would all be M6, which for whatever reason never happened. You know, some people love to go to Alton Towers, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, those sorts of places for a day out. Nah, this is miles better. Looking at signs on a B road in southwest Scotland, phew, whatever next. So back to the railway, and I've stopped a few miles further up the road, and this is the site of Greskine signal box, an intermediate block post halfway up the climb between Beattock Station and the summit. And the signal box was on the other side of the line behind me here, and it closed when they electrified the route in 1973. Very little to see here today. I'm too low to get any view of where the box actually used to be. On the Ordnance Survey map, funnily enough, it does still show the siding. There is no siding still connected, but whether part of it still exists in the undergrowth on the other side, I've no idea. There is still an access point here for high voltage substation on the railway, but no other signs of the box that I can see, but nice to think of it anyway. Ghost number 3, Greskine signal box. Nearby in the undergrowth I found these remains of an old telegraph pole a few years ago on a previous visit. Roughly a mile further up the bank, this footbridge in its original form featured in the 1936 film Night Mail, as did the following locomotive 46115 Scots Guardsman, seen here with the Great Britain 7 rail tour in 2014. Another couple of miles up Beattock Bank, and behind me we have the delightfully brutal 2006 version of Harthope Viaduct. This viaduct carrying the line from one side of a valley to the other as it narrows, as it gets closer to the summit. This used to be a fantastic viaduct up until 2006, Harthope Viaduct, and it was steel girder construction on a number of stone pillars. You can actually see one of the original stone abutments which still serves a function on the far side. But here is essentially the ghost of what was perhaps the crowning engineering achievement of Beattock Bank. Sad to see it gone, and even the parapets on this are too high to see the actual trains when they're on it. So yet again, progress for you. Incidentally, just near the viaduct we have these absolutely massive culverts which were installed when they made the A74 into a dual carriageway in the mid-1960s. I do believe in belt and braces, but these are rather over and above absolutely massive. I don't know what sort of storm event they had in mind when these were constructed, but very impressive. And this one behind me is actually on a curve, so it's got quite an eerie feel to it as you look into the darkness of it, but it is also starting to chuck it down, so best get out of here before the water gets up to the level of that. Just heading back to the car to head to the next ghost, as it were. And here's a little bit of action footage of me scrabbling about. Get really fine footpaths in these sorts of places. It's open access land, but you know, forget any sort of footpath, you're just sort of making up your own route, which adds to the fun. So I'm just quickly walking up to this other culvert just to give you a bit more sense of scale. That is absolutely massive, and quite a brutal piece of engineering in its own right. I wonder what the highest the water has ever got against the overall height of it. Incredible. As I'm filming this today, it's a really good opportunity just to say thank you to anyone who viewed, liked or commented on my very first vlog, which went live a few weeks ago. This is the first time I've been out to film a vlog since then, and your encouragement really does help, so thank you very much, and hopefully more of these to come. And just a bit further down the original A74 behind me here, within the trees there is a very small stone memorial to the completion of the duelling of the A74 in the mid-1960s. Largely forgotten now and completely hidden mainly by trees and surrounding vegetation. But I did see a photograph of the unveiling ceremony, to my surprise, on a Facebook group called Scottish Roads Archive a few years ago. I'll put a link in the description to that group. It's quite an interesting page, more interesting than you might think. This little bit of history now, as I say, completely tucked away, forgotten about, hidden in the trees and largely superseded by the coming of the motorway above the railway to my right here in the late 1990s, a massive undertaking in its own right. Well, I've just arrived here at Beattock Summit and the weather is doing its absolute best out there to conspire against me filming the final few shots for this vlog. Preserved steam does sometimes occasionally stop here for water, and in doing so brings back a sense of those earlier and arguably happier times. Still raining quite heavily, but we'll give this a go. Summits, unlike viaducts and signal boxes, tend not to disappear, and I'm happy to report that Beattock Summit is alive and well and therefore not really a ghost. However, the summit board, which you can't really see but is just behind me here, is now very much obscured by a number of conifer trees which have grown between the sign and the railway itself. It's amazing that these are actually growing on railway land. Looking back at old photographs, the original sign was an absolutely fantastic blue Scottish region sign which adorned the signal box. That was then replaced by a very ordinary sign when they electrified the route and got rid of the box, and 50 years later has been replaced by an even smaller version of that, which now you can hardly see because of the trees. Perhaps a fitting end to this tale of progress on Beattock and the way that things have gone in the modern era. So from a rather blustery, quite wet and sometimes overgrown Beattock, thanks very much for watching if you made it this far, and if you've enjoyed the video, if you could please leave me a like and a comment and think about subscribing and hitting the bell notification icon, I would greatly appreciate that. Until the next time, bye for now.